Francisco, it's Rex Broadcasting Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours with Bryan Alvarez here talking pro wrestling. We're going to be covering the TNA pay-per-view, which is actually just starting right now with the America's Most Wanted against Michael Shane and Alex Shelley match, which on paper, you know, this is a pretty darn good show. They opened the pregame show with Shocker beating Gerald Clark, and they also had a deal in the pregame show where Mike Tenay and Jeff Jarrett went nose to nose, which was it was. Did you see that, Bryan, by any chance?
No, but I've been waiting to see that match for about 2 years.
What match? Mike Tenay and Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Well, anyway, they went nose to nose, arguing. I'm not really sure what they were arguing about. Well, but the gist of it was that Jeff Jarrett talked about how there was Black Wednesday recently in the WWE where 16 wrestlers got fired. And he knows that the idiots at TNA are going to hire all of these wrestlers. And Mike Tenay was going, no, they're not. They're only going to hire the ones who deserve to be hired. And then Jeff Jarrett's looking at Mike Tenay and goes, do you know who they're going to fire? And Mike Tenay goes, who? And Jeff Jarrett goes, me. The man who built, actually he doesn't say it like that. He goes, the man who built this company on his back, the man who week after week, every Wednesday carried this company.
And he was talking about himself.
And he's doing this description. I go, they're going to fire Mike. But he said they're going to fire him.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, they said they were going to fire him, and you know, it got a big pop and all this, and then like all the fans start popping, and Jeff Jarrett starts yelling at the fans, and I just find this really ironic. He goes, "You fans are all so stupid because you're the ones who believed the Matt Hardy storyline." And, you know, the funny reason about that is the reason Jeff Jarrett is not wrestling on this show today was because Jeff Jarrett was going to be booked with Matt Hardy. And when Matt Hardy didn't come, when Matt Hardy went back to WWE, Jeff Jarrett had no opponent. So it's he was like thinking people were so gullible, I guess, to make himself feel good because, you know, he got himself right off this card because of it. But not you know, in the end, it doesn't matter because he's going to be all over the show in some form anyway. And then they did an argument, and Jeff Jarrett goes to Mike, well, is he here today? And Mike goes, is who here today? And he goes, you know what I'm talking about. Is he here today? Making everyone think Matt Hardy, right? And finally, Jeff, when they said who, goes, Rhino, and Mike goes, yeah, he's here.
That was how they revealed the big surprise.
Yeah, so the big surprise, well, you know, so I'm guessing that because of how it was and Jeff was all complaining about him being there, that as the big swerve, Rhino shows up and helps Jeff at the end of the show, or during the show, or some point during the show. I don't know, sound like a good guess?
As good as any. I've never tried to book TNA because I just give up.
Yeah, but they've got logical bookers now.
Well,
you know what I mean? I mean, Steve Moore, Mike, you know. So, anyway, that's kind of an idea of what's going on. We'll see. We'll see how it transpires. But anyway, AMW's wrestling, so the AMW's wrestling Shane and Shelley.
So it looks like a good show on paper.
Yeah, I mean, most of the matches look good. This one certainly looks like, on paper, it should be a good match. Well, anyway, as far as the week goes, nobody was fired this week.
Maybe there's a couple people that haven't answered their phone for 11 days now.
You know that, by the way, you know that there were actually, I think, 4 more people who were fired, except they got days of execution somehow or other, and I'm not even sure how or who. So don't ask me who, because I don't know. But I know that there were actually 4.
Well, I can guess, actually.
What?
I can guess.
Okay, tell me.
Tori, because she's on the poster for the next pay-per-view.
I'm pretty sure no.
Hurricane and Rosie, since they're taken.
Okay, no. Tori, I can pretty much say no, because I asked about Tori when all this was going down, and it was just like she wasn't being considered to be fired now. So I know
think of all the names that we were surprised were not fired, and then we realized it was because maybe they were champs or something.
Hurricane and Rosie, I couldn't tell you. That I don't know. Yeah. But I know Tori. Okay, who else?
Those are the 3 off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, I was going to think Tyson Tomko, but he wasn't fired either.
He's got nothing to do now.
What?
He's got nothing to do now.
He's going to job on Raw shows, I think. You know.
Hey, did you watch Velocity last night? I know this is an incredible question since I've never watched it.
I haven't watched it. I heard the match was over 4 stars.
It was awesome.
Really?
Oh, yeah. That was
It was Benoit against William Regal, just for those of you who don't know what we're talking about.
It was up there with like the Shelton Benjamin, Shawn Michaels matches.
Wow.
It was great.
Wow.
And that was the edited version, too.
Yeah, because they edited it down to 12. It was I was told 20, which means it was probably about 17, I'm guessing.
It did go through 2 commercial breaks, but the first one was like minutes after it started, like 2 minutes, but it was really good. It was one of those matches where, by the end, the people were, they were into it. And they gave a standing ovation afterwards. It was great. Hopefully they put that on a real show. Yeah. So everyone can see it. Anyway, we're going to go head to a break right now. You can call us at 1-800-878-SLAY. We'll be taking phone calls for most of the 2 hours along with going through the show and talking about the updated news. You listen to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer News, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and we are watching the TNA pay-per-view as we are doing this show, and the opening match is still going on. It's AMW, Chris Harrison, James Storm, against Michael Shane and Alex Shelley, and it looks like Tracy is about to be handcuffed to the corner by Chris Harris. In fact, there it is. That's done. Okay. Thoughts on Matt Hardy? In which way?
I don't know.
Well, I thought that maybe when he returned to the company, what
were your thoughts on how it was handled on Monday?
I thought the angle was great. I thought they did a really good job with the angle.
I thought in the ring, I thought those 2 teases were stupid.
Which one?
The 2 teases.
Oh God, when he returned.
I mean, I had found out in the morning he was coming in, and then when they showed Edge looking at the TV screen and doing that, I'm going like, oh my God, they're telegraphing the whole thing. And then when they showed the thing where he was beating him down, I was going like, I was thinking like, oh my God, that's it. And I go, what a waste that was. And then he did the thing in the ring, which was great.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have left out, I didn't so much mind the wedding thing, because I just, I thought, okay, well, they're building it up, whatever. The one where he just returned as they were going to commercial and attacked Edge backstage, that maybe should have been done after the first angle or not at all. It kind of really...
Probably not at all.
I just remember watching and thinking, that is his big return. They're going to...
That's what I was thinking, too. I was going like, oh, my God. But I kind of figured, Edge is coming out for a match next, so obviously he's coming out again.
Yeah. The actual, I guess, like, the real gist of it, when he came out after the match and attacked Edge and was going crazy and shouting about Ring of Honor and everything like that was all great.
Yeah.
I was hoping that when he returned, this would cause him to stop losing his mind. I'm not sure if that happened. He may still be losing his mind from other things during the week.
I think that he quickly realized, because just based on, he did the first internet post, I think he misread the situation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as thinking, he still had everyone fooled, which was a big mistake. The Bite This, that's their internet show, that's part of the work, that's fine. And since then, if you notice, he hasn't been saying anything on the internet, and then last night, and from what I read as far as the ROH show, he was pretty careful. He didn't say anything. I mean, he worked his, he hates Edge and Lita, which is fine, but he didn't act like, I'm not, did you see me invade the show, and, I'm not with them. He didn't say that, because if he did, I think the people would have been smart enough to turn on him. We look like we got to finish. Michael Shane just hit, I believe it was James Storm with a boot. This actually is probably going to be a near fall. Yep, it is. So he kicked out. But anyway, I think we're working towards the finish there. But anyway, go ahead.
What was I talking about?
Tracy just threw him the boot a second time. So what's he going to do now? Obviously can't hit him again. Nope, it was blocked. Actually, it was Harris, and just gave him a full Nelson slam. And where are we now? Alex Shelley's in the ring, rolling around, and he just got super kicked by Storm. Further to fall. That was it. Wow. So anyway, Harrison Storm won.
There you go. Have they turned heel completely yet?
No, they were total babyface in this match. So, hadn't happened yet.
Maybe that means they'll break up later in the show.
Yeah, Michael Shane just super kicked Storm, and he got out of there. So anyway, that's the first match on the show. Want to make mention also that Miguel Perez, Jose Miguel Perez, who was a big headliner in Madison Square Garden in the late 50s, early 60s, passed away yesterday of a heart attack at the age of 68. And his story is a pretty fascinating story about a guy who grew up in Puerto Rico, watched wrestling on television, and then when he was very young, he was basically, his idol was Argentina Rocca, who was the biggest, at that point in wrestling, was the biggest star in the entire business, probably by a pretty big margin. Not, kind of the Hulk Hogan of his era in many ways. And they became a tag team, and they headlined for year after year after year in the Garden against all the great tag teams of the era, and never lost, and always, and then after the tag team, he had a long career, but never close to that level of stardom again. But if you look at what month was it? I think it was in March, where I did like the all-time biggest draws in the company history, dating back to the mid-50s when Vince McMahon Sr. took over Madison Square Garden. Perez, would have been top 15, right around number 15, ahead of a lot of people who were a lot more famous than he ended up being, of course, because it was so many years ago. And also, it was really just a tag team run. So, but it's an interesting, looking back on Rocca and Perez, the interesting thing to me is that Vince Jr. started watching wrestling when he was 14, as best he tells it, right? So that would be Vince Jr. was born in 45, so that'd be 1959, which would mean that he started during the heyday of Rocca and Perez, which makes sense because his first wrestling hero was Dr. Jerry Graham, and Jerry and Eddie Graham were the big rivals of Rocca and Perez. And the interesting thing is, how so many people, when they start, the wrestling that they start watching is kind of like the style of wrestling that they love. And so in that period, Rocca was a high flyer, not a huge bodybuilder, and he was by far the biggest star that they had. And every main event in the Garden was always a tag team match. And I'm thinking that, unlike most people who want the wrestling of their childhood, Vince obviously didn't like the wrestling of his childhood. It was bound to be true that all these guys that were over, he liked Jerry Graham because he was a colorful character, but he sure didn't like tag teams and high flyers.
That is interesting. He's killed the tag team.
Look at the tag team division.
Yeah.
You realize all the good tag teams are going to end up in TNA?
It's just like, I think that it was there's just so many tag teams that I guess I figured nobody cared about, that they started kind of breaking them apart and firing them, and then they hit upon M&M, and now they've got this team and no one to face them.
Can you believe that one? I can't believe that, if anything, if they wanted to bring Road Warrior Animal back, I'm guessing they didn't give him any lead time, because he
looked like Anvil.
Oh, worse.
Like Jim Neidhart?
Oh, way worse. He was so out of shape. And, for a guy who made his reputation on having a, big, powerful physique, to be so out of shape when he came back, it was just it was really sad. And, I know, I've watched Animal, he's been sad for 10 years, but at least he didn't look so out of shape. He could get away with a 1 month pop if he was at least looked the part. And I'm seriously on next week's Bash, that match is scary.
Well, next week you'll also see what a middle-aged man can do in 7 days if he really puts his mind to it.
Don't count on much. Unless he's got some really powerful drugs.
No one does drugs.
7 days. You can't do that much in 7 days.
You would think that he would know that they might call him, seeing as how the Road Warriors DVD just came out.
They need to be more organized. I don't know. If he had a month of lead time and showed up looking like that, then obviously the onus is on him, and I don't know what the answer is. But if they called him, out of the blue, hey, we need, and knowing them, they probably called him Saturday before, or maybe Sunday before, and go, we need you at TV on Tuesday. Yeah. And so he showed up, and wasn't a smart move. If nothing else, he should have run in clothes.
Yeah.
At least hide it. But that match, that match is just all wrong.
Anyway.
Heidenreich's going to be better than Animal.
I don't know if that's possible.
I believe that. I believe that to be the case.
Oh, boy.
So, if nothing else, Heidenreich's not going to blow up in 2 minutes.
That's true.
Okay. We are going to go hit a break. We're going to come back talking more about the TNA pay-per-view as well as taking phone calls. Every line is lit up, so we will start getting the calls on pretty much any subject you want. By the way, they just had a commercial there for the Super X Cup, which starts on Tuesday. Actually, the whole tournament is going to be taking place on Tuesday, except for the finals.
I got to talk about that when we get back.
Okay. So on the TV show that nobody sees, so it's probably going to be some great television matches over the next month that Unless you live in Florida, you're not going to be seeing, or you can watch on the internet, I guess. Okay, we're back right after this. You listen to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. And if you're looking for the latest in pro wrestling information, you can always go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. We've got reviews of all of the weekend big house shows. We've got all the TV show reviews and daily news updates, as well as information on how you can subscribe to both the Wrestling Observer newsletter that I put out every week and Figure 4 Weekly that Bryan puts out every week. And this week's Observer was gigantic. Last week was one of the biggest news weeks that I can ever recall, just between all the stuff that was going on with the firings, the Jim Cornette situation, death of Shinya Hashimoto, Hogan's situation. Hey, Hogan Knows Best is on again tonight, by the way.
Oh, God, I got to write that down.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if I'm going to watch. Well, I guess we could talk about that as well. But anyway, you can go to www.wrestlingobserver.com and get info on how to subscribe to both newsletters. You can still get this week's issue of the Observer, which is one of the biggest ones of the year, and Hall of Fame issues coming up. In fact, not next week, because next week we're going to be off because of the WWE pay-per-view as far as going live, but the 31st and the 7th are going to be our annual Hall of Fame shows on this radio show. So, Bryan, you got to get to work on your ballot.
I got a question.
Yes.
What do you think about doing the show after voting?
Well, we could talk. I mean, we could talk about it after the voting, but it's kind of, you know what I mean?
I'm just thinking that, I don't want to have people influencing voting.
The voting would already be over.
Oh, okay.
By the time
didn't last year we do it before the last day of voting?
What?
Didn't we do it before the last day of voting last year?
We did it right at the last day of voting. I don't remember if it was the last day exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, it's right at the end anyway. So, I'm sure that we'll end up talking about it the week after as well. Anyway, real quick, you want to talk about the WWE pay-per-view for Sunday?
Oh, no, I wanted to talk about. What was I going to have you remind? Oh, the X tournament.
That's right, the X tournament on Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's the world's stupidest idea.
Okay. By the way, real quick, there's a match going on, and I'm thinking it's a four-way. In fact, I'm sure it's a four-way. You know what I mean?
I love those kind of matches.
Yeah, it's Luke Skipper and Shark Boy are in the ring, and Mikey Batts and Sanjay Dutt are outside the ring right now. So those are the four guys in this four-way match. Okay, X tournament, which starts Tuesday.
Yeah. All right. Let's just say they've got a TV deal with Spike that's going to start up in October or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, if there's anything that they can do to immediately differentiate TNA from WWE, it is to begin running a World X Cup tournament or whatever, starting on that first TV.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the entire show. It could be 2 matches on the show or something like that. But, I mean, that is the showcase for TNA. That's the one thing that they do that there's no way WWE can touch them. And instead, their idea is to air this thing during a period where they have no TV and you have to download it off the Internet, which only the hardcores are going to do, and obviously those hardcores already know about the X Division. I think they should just hold this off.
Okay.
I think it's a completely stupid idea to not do it with TV.
They could do it again. If it works good.
They could, but I don't think
they're going to. A dry run. Because realistically, everything that's being done now, aside from just positioning guys to get ready to be in the right position when TV starts, pretty much everything that's done in TNA right now to me doesn't count anyway. Because, no one's really watching the product. I don't think that many people are buying the pay-per-view, and no one's watching the TV.
Yeah.
So, it's just doing it for, their international commitments and just to keep guys getting work. I give them credit. Most other companies would have just shut down.
Well, most other companies don't have a benefactor like this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get the money, why shut down?
Yeah, but if you're only earmarking a certain amount of money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It speeds it up. I mean, like running, paying for all these guys and all this TV time.
Oh, you're talking about shut down before TV?
I just mean like close down for a couple, down for a couple months and just run your pay-per-views.
Okay.
Because, the cost of this TV that no one's watching, isn't offset by the amount of money you're making on your international deals that you're trying to fulfill. But I guess the whole deal is oh my God. Luke Skipper did the rope walk and lost his balance and fell on the floor.
Oh.
And he was supposed to Frankenstein the guy. I don't know if he was going to Frankenstein him in the ring or not, because I just noticed that Sanjay Dutt was looking outside the ring starting to do a dive spot. So I think he actually was supposed to fall on the floor. So he didn't miss a spot even. Because Shark Boy just did a plancha. So we're going to have Sanjay's going to do some crazy dive in just a second. He's setting it up. Let's see what the crazy dive is. He is on top. I think it's going to be a flip dive. No, just a normal plancha. It wasn't that crazy at all. So anyway, that's...
Maybe nobody wants to kill themselves so they get TV.
And that would be smart, but I think that in the middle of a match on pay-per-view, I think that they're probably not thinking that way. Although no one's done anything crazy so far this show. Okay, Pride earlier today announced its bracketing for the Final Four for the 28th, 2 weeks for August 28th pay-per-view, and it's going to be Vanderlei Silva against Ricardo Arona and Mauricio Shogun Rua against Alistair Overeem. So, any thoughts on that?
Did you see the odds?
Yes, I did.
Those were interesting.
Well, because of the original odds, Rua was the favorite, and now on the betting odds, because so many people bet on Silva, it's moved to Silva being the favorite.
Yeah.
Which it should be. I mean, it's like...
And are they expecting a Silva, who was it?
Silva Rua is the match that they're expecting.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was the Guillotine Machine.
Wait, the Guillotine Machine's is favored over Rua?
I thought it was. Let me go back.
You can check. I didn't look at it that close. I would be shocked if he
Either
was.
way, Silva was the favorite overall.
Yeah.
And they also had Crow Cop, the underdog.
Pretty significant underdog, too.
I was shocked about that one.
Yeah, me too.
That made me think about perhaps...
Well, no. I mean, okay, here's the situation. People have seen Crow Cop lose. Nobody has ever seen Fedor lose. Nobody believes Fedor can lose because he's not human, and they know that Crow Cop is human. Now, if you're asking me, I think Crow Cop's going to win. But I think that most people do think Fedor's going to win.
Yeah.
Although not on our website. We've done website polls. I think Crow Cop was pretty handily actually ahead. So,
yeah.
So anyway,
let's see. Here are the. Oh no, you're right. Hua is second.
Okay.
So it's Silva plus 140, Hua plus 150, Overeem plus 300, and Arona plus 500.
To win the tournament?
Yeah.
I would say bet some money on Arona because those odds are too long. I mean, he certainly. I don't expect him to win. Sanjay just pinned Mikey Batts with a moonsault or maybe a Hindu press, so he just won. He won the match. But I mean, what we were saying as far as I don't expect Arona to win, but those odds are too long. He's got a good chance. He's the best grappler of the four. I don't even. It's hard for me to say. I mean, if you're trying to say who has the least chance of the four to win, I can't say.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
And then we've got Fedor at minus 210 and Crow Cop at plus 170.
Yeah, those odds are longer than I thought. Anyway, let's start getting to the phone calls. We're going to start with Warren in Louisville. Warren, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Going pretty good. What's happened? Did you go to the show last night?
Not too much. I about fell asleep during the thing, to be quite honest with you, because I read the spoilers for the Lexington show the other night.
Oh, so you decided against going?
Well, I went. Yeah, I went.
You did go. Okay.
Yeah, so I just bought a cheap seat, in the $20 section, just tried to go try to entertain myself a little bit. So,
how was it? Yeah. Was it okay, or?
Man, it went pretty much the form as the Lexington show did with, Triple H Cena as the main event, and the only difference really was Kane showed up to tag with Big Show against Snitsky and Edmonds instead of it being like a one-on-one match. With
Right. King got back from the comic convention.
What about the Boogeyman?
Yeah, Boogeyman was in the other tour. So Boogeyman was on the SmackDown tour.
Yeah, he was the one that got it canceled for,
Right. Did you hear about that, Brian?
He was rained out?
Yeah.
Boogeyman said you will all remember the Boogeyman, and then God started crying, and they rained out the show.
I'm hoping that they have a handheld. I really am.
Yeah, I hope someone's got that. I heard it was just unbelievable. I mean,
God, can you imagine if they had like a WWE quality camera? That could just be his whole ring entrance, as they would just play that video forever.
Oh, yeah, really.
He'd just do his catchphrase. The sky would open, rain would.
Thunder, lightning.
Yeah, people running and fleeing in terror.
Nobody was running and fleeing in terror. The only people who were running and fleeing were the wrestlers, because all the fans were out there in the rain, and the wrestlers were, like all running away.
I would be so mad if I was those guys. I'd feel like I got ripped off for $45.
Well, I'm sure that they'll run. I'm sure they're going to run another show in the city pretty quick.
Didn't they say keep your tickets?
They said keep your tickets, and I'm sure that they will. They're not they're not going to, like, rip people off like that on that type of a thing. Simon Diamond and David Young are in the ring. I don't know why, but we'll find out soon enough.
This can't be good. I was just going to tell you guys real quick, y'all won't be disappointed, I don't think, with the OVW tapes you get this week.
So how's Heyman's first show?
It was not bad at all, actually. I mean, I noticed the Heyman influence right off the bat because there was a lot more backstage-like stuff going on than normal with Cornette. They don't really do much backstage stuff, but they had a lot of backstage-like little vignettes and stuff going on, and they had a lot more of that in there. And, I mean, the action was pretty good. The matches were all good and everything, and I'm really getting to be a big fan of the Blonde Bombers.
Yeah, the Blonde Bombers? Yeah, so I think we'll be seeing a lot more of them. Okay, well, hold on. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Hey, welcome back to Dave Meltzer, head of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here, and what's going on the Sonny Siaki and Apollo against David Young and Simon Diamond. We're going to go back to Warren, Louisville. Warren, what's going on?
Hey, I just want to let you guys know that during the break, Simon Diamond came out and was talking about how David Young is going to be the next big thing, and he's going to take him to the top, and he's starting this new stable called Diamonds in the Rough. So I guess he's going to be grabbing all these guys that haven't been winning much, and I guess he's going to be advising them because he says he's the Bobby Knight of pro wrestling or something, or whatever he was talking about.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
So that could be interesting, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Okay, you remember how we talked about nobody done anything crazy? Apollo just did this running flip dive over the top. He didn't get hurt at all. I mean, you know, there were 3 guys out there, but, I mean, he's a big dude.
Yeah, he just blew that off like it was nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he did it like it was nothing. He did not, really nonchalant. He's just walking around.
Never nonchalantly do a dive. I would just like to...
Just got up and just go, oh, that was nice, and now he's walking around. And he's already back in his corner.
Kind of like Cena.
What?
He just kind of brushed his shoulder off like Cena.
Did you ever hear Shawn Michaels when he used to talk about doing dives?
What?
Where he would say, well, you know, I think it was during the commentary for, like, his match with Kevin Nash at In Your House. He was like, I just told him to catch me. I didn't know what I was going to do till I was up there doing it. I thought, oh, that's a great way to do it.
Well, he's gotten away with that.
Yeah.
You know, so.
He had a 7-foot man catching him, so I guess he could just sort of...
And it's not, you know, if you miss, though, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, like, let's just say you're off by a little bit. I'm sorry, but I would feel a lot more comfortable with a guy with agility than Kevin Nash. You know what I mean? If I come a little
Kevin Nash isn't exactly going to dive in for you.
Yeah. Anything else, Warren?
Yeah, I was going to finish up what I was saying about OVW real quick. Like I said, the Blonde Bombers wrestled a real good match on there and on the house show as well last night. And I didn't get to watch the main event, but they were pushing Brent Albright in the main event on the TV show last night again, but I haven't got to watch that yet. But my TNA question was, do you think that Samoa Joe could be sort of built up like the new Taz, the way he's, like, just destroying everybody?
I think that's actually, I don't think that they'll pull it off right, but that's the idea, actually. That's actually the idea, yeah.
I think that could work right if they would just do it right.
You got to do it right. I think it could work right as well. He knows how to play that off. So the thing with Samoa Joe as compared to Taz is that Samoa Joe, to me, is a much better worker than Taz. In the sense of,
I think so.
But because of that, it's actually going to hurt him in playing this role because Taz, you know, Paul was totally protective of Taz and had him, you know, really always look tough all the time. And Joe's gimmick is that he can look tough while at the same time sell like crazy and make other guys look good, which for the role itself, you know, isn't really the right working style. You know, like Taz didn't go out there and have 4.5-star matches ever, and Joe does, you know, because he gives the smaller guys so much. Like tonight, I bet you with Sabin, you know, I mean, it isn't going to be a domination, you know, uncompetitive match. I think it's going to be pretty darn competitive. So,
you think he might take the cradle shock and just get right up?
No, I don't think he will. I mean, he might take the cradle shock and kick out at 2, but no, he's not going to pop right up. No, I mean, I may watch him go do it, but I don't think so.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I had, guys. Have a great weekend. I look forward to talking to y'all again sometime.
Okay, thank you very much.
You know what I got to say, because you've watched the tapes, Dave. I should have asked him as well. The Blonde Bombers. Is there a better stable today? I
mean, they're entertaining. They have an entertaining chemistry, don't they?
Just 5 people with nothing in common except the fact that they've got blonde hair and are all goofs.
And
the only thing any of them, I mean, Tank, Chad, Ken Anderson, and the two women that have absolutely nothing in common except they're females.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And they're about as opposite as he can get.
Yeah, I love them. They come on TV and they could talk about nothing for an hour, and I could just watch them and laugh the entire time.
So now so now they're going to bring them up to WWE and not give them any interview time.
Of course, they'll split them all up. They'll all go to different shows.
They'll split them all up too.
They'll make a new show just so they can split them all up.
The last two teams, they didn't split them up, although they did try with the first one.
Yeah. Well, they tried a replacement, but God, what an idea.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go to James in Tallahassee. James, what's going on?
Hey, Dave and Bryan, how are you guys doing?
Doing really good.
I am reading right now through The Death of WCW, and Bryan, you and RD just did a fantastic job on that book.
Oh, thank you.
I'm right now at the part of Slamboree where Eric was challenging Vince.
Oh my God. I remember this TV. I was on the road.
Isn't it ironic that he brings that up after what we talked about before the show?
Yeah.
With the TNA statement?
Yeah. I remember. You got to tell that story, Bryan. You know that?
Which one?
About the TNA statement. Because TNA today sent out a statement. TNA today sent out a statement and said that Matt Hardy will not be on the pay-per-view tonight. Okay, I mean, they put it on their website.
Which is very similar to the Slamboree deal.
That's right. At Slamboree, at that show that we were talking about, Eric Bischoff went on the air and challenged Vince McMahon. And obviously it was never going to happen.
And then he reads the letter from McDivitt, right?
No. So Eric goes on television and specifically says Vince McMahon will not be on this pay-per-view. And then McDivitt writes him a nasty letter. In fact, McDivitt called me up that week to argue this point about how, in wrestling, when you say something isn't going to happen, that means it does. So they were trying to defraud the audience into thinking Vince was going to be there when they went on television and specifically said, Vince is not going to be on this pay-per-view.
Which is basically the same thing that happened today. TNA sent out the deal saying Matt Hardy will not be here. So really, in wrestling parlance, that means he's going to do a run-in.
I don't think he is.
But if they would have said he's going to be here, really there was nothing anybody could say except just ignore it.
Yeah. Anyway, Joe and Saban are in the ring, so that match, which could be the show stealers, So James, I'm sorry to interrupt you on that.
No.
But oh my God, that when Eric did all of that, remember the training footage and everything?
Yeah, he's training for the imaginary
match.
I'll tell you, I read through the book, and I just stop to laugh for 5 minutes at certain points. I can't stop. It's so ridiculous. Like when Rodman was wrestling and he arm dragged Luger, and Tony Schiavone goes crazy. Like in Bryan, I think you compared him, you and RD, to the new Frank Gosch or whatever. Like Frank Gosch came back or something. It was just everything you all pointed out was just so funny, but at times I thought I'd be laughing through the whole book, but it's got me thinking actually at certain points going, wow, what if they had done this? What if they did say, hey, we have a problem here with WCW, the matches suck, we need to improve on things, but the whole point was if it isn't broke, don't fix it, They
were so drunk with their own success. I mean, when they were at their high point, which would have been, was it March of 1998 was the high point, right, Bryan? Business-wise?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because that's when they had the 30 straight sellouts or 23 straight sellouts or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember you and I would talk and go, they're doomed. And I mean, I told them that. I go, and I'm not doomed, but you're heading for a fall because of all the things that they were doing. And they were just like, 23 straight sellouts. You're saying we're heading for a fall. I go, you're heading for a fall. They just didn't see it coming. I mean, boy. Come 1999, I never seen a company fall like that.
God, and even when it was falling, they didn't seem to have a clue.
Well, part of the problem was Hogan. Not in the sense of, we said this before, Eric Bischoff always believed, I guess you know how these stupid sayings in wrestling, you'll hear about them, this doesn't work and this doesn't work, and there's things like sometimes old sayings become old sayings because they're true, and a lot of times they just become old sayings because people keep saying them and never think. And, one of the old sayings was, where Hogan goes the money. And at times, obviously, that was true. And Eric...
Most times, really.
What?
Most times.
A lot of times, yeah. But Eric, when the thing was going down, I remember him just going like, Awesome's a flash in the pan. We've got Hogan. And it's just like, man, it's just like, you're doomed.
Flash in the pan. You know, as far as like the comedy in the book, and then you start thinking about it, when we were first thinking about what to do a book about, Artie wanted to do a Death of ECW book. And, or that was one of the ideas that we were discussing, and he was like, no, that'll be way too sad. But if we do Death of WCW, it's going to be funny. And I said, well, they did a lot of really funny things, but I guarantee when we're done writing this, it's going to be very sad. And it was. I mean, it was funny because, 99% of the stuff that we wrote about was just stuff that actually happened. It was hilarious.
It is, and what was funny was I keep thinking of the whole Matt Hardy situation, and I keep thinking back to '96 with Brian Pillman, how they were doing the whole shoot work, except Pillman was working all of them to get out of his contract,
Well, you know what? He wasn't, he was working to get out of his contract, but, Brian Pillman was not working to go to WWE.
Where did he want to go then exactly?
He wanted to stay with WWE. Brian Pillman and I used to... fight's not the right word. But, I mean, we talked all the time. I was the one who kept pushing Bryan to go to WWE, and Bryan, was like, no, I want to get a big... He wanted to get a Lex Luger contract, like a $500,000 a year contract, and he figured that he could... If he swerved these guys into thinking that everybody was talking about him and that he was a real star, and Bryan was not deluding himself in the sense of he thought he could swerve them into thinking he was a player while not drawing money at the same time because, in his mind, Lex Luger never drew money either. He got a huge contract, and he figured if he got the Luger-sized contract, he'd have to be pushed by Luger because in their mentality, if you ever knew WCW, the guys who made the most got pushed the most, whether they were talented or not, and whether they were effective in the role or not, just because they were always trying to justify the salary type of deal. So that was Bryan's goal. And my goal was like, hey, go over there and work with Shawn Michaels because I thought, Hogan's never going to let you be a main eventer. You're too small. But Bryan thought that he could, swerve Hogan. And actually it did work because they had this, remember that 2-on-8 match was going on around that time?
Oh, yeah, in the cage or before that? Or
I don't know if it was a 2-on-8 cage match. I think it was. But there was a big...
and all them or something?
There was a big, really horrible main event going on while Pillman was doing all this.
Yeah.
And Hogan, hearing the reaction at the arenas, because in the arenas people were chanting for Pillman, he called up Eric and just goes, we got to get Pillman in the match because he was wanting to beat him. Right then and there because he thought Pillman was hot. And then Pillman, so Eric calls Pillman, and Pillman says that, he's not medically cleared because he had throat surgery, which technically he was not medically cleared, but he could have done it. But he didn't want to do it because he knew that Hogan was going to beat him. And so he really didn't come back because he had his termination letter. He didn't have to come back.
Well, I'm going to let you go because I hear the music or whatever, but I remember that I know you used to talk to Pillman because I remember you told a story on the radio one time of how Pillman called you up when they burnt the Observer on World War III, when they burnt your thing and said, oh, we're working all the boys.
And he was just laughing. He just goes, Hogan's lost his mind this time. Hogan's singing Savage. He just goes, those guys lost their mind. They killed their own angle because Savage was losing to an arm bar, and they went in there, and Savage was legitimately had a torn tricep.
His arm was like,
and he was going like, we worked all you guys, we even worked the boys. Savage isn't even hurt. And then the finish of the match is Savage's bad arm gets injured by Luger, and he gives up.
Oh, God bless WCW. They did give us some laughs in the end.
They gave us some laughs, but you know what? In the end, the book was sad. But you know what, Bryan, if you had done the book on ECW, it couldn't have been as funny because Paul didn't give you the material.
That's true.
So anyway, we'll go ahead and do a break right now. James, thanks for calling.
Yeah. All right, bye.
All right, we're back with more right after this. You'll listen to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer News. Look at Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. Bryan.
Yeah.
Sabin and Joe are tearing it up.
Stunned.
I can't tell you how good, but it's pretty damn good. Gosh. They're just everywhere, and based on what I've seen, it just looks really, really strong. Let's see. Can we go to Jonathan in Savannah? Hello. Jonathan.
Yes.
Yeah, Jonathan, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I just had a couple questions. I'll try to get through them real quick since the break's coming up. The first one with the Matt Hardy deal. Do you think... Well, I really don't have too much faith in WWE as far as being handed a very good angle and not screwing it up.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, so do you think, like, eventually, like, as far as them trying to work everybody, that eventually the work will explode, like, backfire in their face?
Yeah, pretty quick. I don't know, because I think Matt Hardy's got a lot of input into this right now, but then again, they did a lot of things kind of, that surprised me on Monday, so I don't know. But hold on, because, we have to hit our news break, and we'll talk more about Matt Hardy right after this, okay? Joe and Saban are still in the ring and having a great match. We'll be back right after this news break. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on! Get it on!
Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're going to go to Jonathan in Savannah, Georgia. Jonathan, talking about Matt Hardy. What's going on?
Hello?
Hey there.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't know I was back on. Sorry. No, I was just like I was saying before, I'm just not sure if I have, depending on how much input he has in the actual angle, just as far as how long can they keep it up where it doesn't go beyond, to sound stupid, beyond belief, but beyond, I don't know, I guess beyond belief, like, beyond.
I think when he starts having matches on Raw, it's sort of...
Well, he can't have matches on Raw.
Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid, like, the next time he comes out, he's going to have, like, an entrance video and everything.
He can't have a match on Raw, he can't have a match on Raw, like, for a while, like well after SummerSlam. I mean, certainly not before SummerSlam. So that's, SummerSlam is August 21st. But no, if he has any match on Raw before SummerSlam, it's ridiculous. And if, and Vince has to be the one, not Eric, who has to announce the match for SummerSlam, and it can't be a wrestling match. It has to be some sort of a, newfangled lights out type of situation, where Vince explains, somehow they have to have some rational justification for a match without it being a match.
Yeah.
I mean, just to play it up. But I don't know. I don't know. It's like this great build up that nobody saw on television that'll work to a degree, but then once they have their first match, I really wonder.
Yeah, and do you think they'll allow him to still keep some independent dates?
He's going to be working all the independent dates he's contracted for, or he's agreed to. I mean, so he's not taking, as far as I know, he's not taking any new independent dates. But all the ones that he's announced for, he's going to do.
Okay.
Yeah, as best I know. Yeah. And
the other question I had for you was, do you see the Eddie Ray angle on SmackDown going towards a Sandman Raven?
I mean, it's not the exact same thing, but yeah, I'm sure that's where it's taken from. Yeah.
No, I mean, do you see Do you see that's where the direction it's headed after their match is?
It's not the exact same thing, but it's something similar. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And the last question I want to have is, like, as far as Benoit being relegated to working Velocity.
Hey, I ain't complaining about that one. Not this week. Maybe next week.
No, well, it's just as far as opponents for Batista, who besides JBL, who just, I don't know.
Brock Lesnar, although that shouldn't be until WrestleMania.
Yeah, they should wait for that. But, like, I mean, who else are you going to have besides him wrestling?
Ahmed Hassan. I mean, that's who it's going to. I don't know this, but that's what it certainly looks like is where it's going.
Really?
For for SummerSlam.
And they're not. Are they?
What about Hassan versus Big Dave?
Muhammad Hassan versus Big Dave for SummerSlam is the direction that I mean, they were. That's for sure the direction.
That's a horrid
they were
idea.
Going. What?
It's a terrible idea.
Oh yeah, because we've already seen the match, and it was. I think remember that they had a 5-minute match on Raw, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
So,
are they planning on not like? I don't see why not. Why not Eddie? Although I know he had like a nervous breakdown the last time he was champ, but why not?
In that like, Eddie is champion.
You got Benoit. You have Christian.
Yeah, God, these guys in the 6-man are going crazy. Lance Hoyt just did a dive. It was the Naturals and Lance Hoyt against Team Canada. And by the way, Samoa Joe beat Sabin, which I'm sure everyone expected. But, again, the crowd was just going nuts for that match. It looked like it was a fantastic match. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, we're going to go ahead to a break. Thanks, Jonathan. Back right after this, you're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of Wrestling Observer News. With Bryan, Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and the 6-man tag with Team Canada against the Naturals and Lance Hoyt is still going on. So, what?
Why is it still going on?
Because nobody won yet.
Not quite what I meant. Can they take a little time off that match and given more to Samoa Joe?
I think they may have given enough time for Samoa Joe. I don't know. We're going to go to Levy in Yonkers. What's going on? Hello. Oh, Scott in Houston. Scott, you there?
Dave?
Hello?
Dave, can you hear me? This is Levy.
Okay, Levy, what's going on?
I just wrote down a couple of thoughts about MMA, and I wanted to float them by you.
Okay.
With Baroni's 2 big wins, one of which didn't air yet. I hope I didn't spoil it for anybody.
Oh!
Okay, much more about it because Brian's watching Friday night.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you think that now a Sakuraba-Baroni fight would be marketable in Japan?
No, I don't want to see. I don't want to see Sakuraba fight anybody. It's just, no, I don't think so. I mean, it might be a little bit marketable, but in Japan they really don't want to see. I don't know.
Unfortunately, I feel they're going to keep pushing Sakuraba against somebody, so I'm trying to think of somebody lighter weight so he doesn't get hurt that badly.
You know what? They talked to Tank Abbott about fighting Sakuraba just this week.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, God.
Well, now that we know that Baroni's won,
yes,
has been spoiled, how fast did it happen? What happened? I want the details.
He knocked him out in a minute.
Really?
A minute and 40 seconds,
What's gotten into that guy?
What?
What's gotten into him?
He connected. That's all. It's like saying, what got into Tank when he knocked out Cabbage? He just connected.
Yeah, but this is 2 in a row he's won. This is ridiculous.
Well, the Manoa fight was an awesome fight, and somebody was going to win that, and they were both sitting there, and he was,
he had more guts. Think about that.
What?
He had more guts.
I don't know. He was bigger, though. He really was a lot bigger. I mean, he hung in there when he was getting beaten up. When he was tired. So, I don't know. I don't want to see Sakuraba fight again, but I know that we're gonna.
Now, the person I would consider pretty lucky over the last few days would be Tim Sylvia. I think if that fight with Emilio Silva would have gone on, that he would have a good chance at losing, and 3 losses in a row in the UFC would be not the best. Now, with Trey Kelligman slotted in, I think that's, I don't know if it's a pretty easy win because Trey's had a decent career, but I think he's way undersized to fight Sylvia.
He's undersized for sure. But Trey's a real boxer. Sylvia's just a big guy. If Trey does a lot of movement and stuff, but I don't know. I think he's still going to get connected and probably knocked out, really. Probably with a knee or something. Probably not with a punch. I would see Sylvia winning that fight.
Now, I was trying to think of in the future how do you book the heavyweight division. I know that they moved the heavyweight unification match to December.
Right.
Would you try and build up Glenatello by risking him fighting Rico or Mike Kyle or somebody to get another win, or would you hold him off until after that unification match?
I would hold him off, but I certainly don't see Wintello beating either Mir or certainly not Andrei Arlovsky. They're still weak in that division, but maybe maybe someone's going to come out of that TV show, because the TV show, one of the ideas is to create a real heavyweight, out of the reality show, so maybe there's somebody there.
I think worse comes to worse if those guys get recognition, at least, by beating them, you'll get a little bit of a rub. So even if those guys like, I don't know, who's unofficially but Mike Whitehead or those typical people that kind of go one-on-one with Dan Severn and then get a little name recognition as heavyweights in the U.S., I think, once they would have the Ultimate Fighter show and whoever wins those fights by losing to somebody like a Sylvia or Gwenatello, that those guys would get a little bit of a rub from that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that may be. Although they really have been out there protecting the UFC. The Ultimate Fighter guys. So where I don't know if they would put one of them against Wintello.
Isn't that sort of an odd strategy though for the TV show to try and get a heavyweight contender out of it? Since they got some...
Well, they just need some heavyweights, period.
I know, but they got some middleweights out of the last show, and it's not like they're at the level of, the good middleweights.
Yeah, but the standard of a good heavyweight in UFC and a good middleweight is
unless you're Arlovsky.
Except for Arlovsky. Yeah, but the rest of those guys, you just need body. How good is Mike Kyle? And they kept bringing him back.
Yeah.
Now, I know Barnett's name was floated around a little bit as somebody they spoke to instead of Justin Eilers.
About fighting, what's his name, Arlovsky, and he didn't. I don't think he was completely ready for that fight.
I thought he was under contract. What's his status?
He's under contract to New Japan, but New Japan might want to send him. They're not above humiliating their own fighters and ruining their company.
For some reason, I don't know, Arlovsky just doesn't do it for me. I don't know where he picked up all the steam where everyone sees him as an amazing fighter. He hasn't beaten that many guys, and the guys he lost to, given it was a few years ago, they're not exactly,
It really was a few years ago. You especially when you're talking about a guy who's in his, how old was Arlovsky? 23, 24?
Mm-hmm.
So, you're talking about losses when he was like 20, 21. You can pick up a lot in those years. So, I don't know, because, again, we haven't seen Arlovsky against the top guys, so we don't know where he stands for the top guys. But he, with the UFC competition, he's mowing through everybody.
I could see Karatanov coming in and just ripping through everyone in the UFC.
You mean Fedor?
Going through everyone in the UFC. I think he's below Fedor and,
Sergey Karatanov?
Yeah.
Yes, if you fly.
I could see Sergey Karatanov beating everyone, and I would pick him above Arlovsky based on what I've seen. Yeah, he's a bad man.
And finally, guys, I'll let you guys go, but my prediction to go through the Pride tournament, especially, I think Arona's going to wear down Silva, so I think Rua is going to win the whole thing.
Very well could happen. I think that whoever has the hardest first fight is going to have, a real tough road there. Because I think they're close enough to where if somebody has a war and the other guy, they'll probably both have wars. So it's who has the harder war in the first round is the one who's going to be at the big disadvantage. Bryan, you know what? That six-man's still going on.
You've got to be kidding me.
It's still going on.
Well, Lance Hoyt's such a hero. They got to give him plenty of time.
The crowd's going crazy for Lance Hoyt. He just chokeslammed everybody.
Wow.
It's still going on. Let's go to Scott in Houston. Scott, what's going on?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing really good.
I was hearing you talk about how the ECW book would not have been funny, and I can tell you from firsthand experience that story is not very funny.
Yeah, because Scott is in fact doing the Death of ECW book, and actually we're working really, really hard interviewing people the last couple of weeks or so. So I don't know. What's your right now where you're at? What's your thoughts on all this?
Well, I think the main thing about my story is going to be that there's a lot of stuff that's been romanticized by this kind of misty-eyed sentiment that WWE's been doing about ECW. And I think some of the stories that I've got are going to dispel some of that. Especially the whole portrayal as WCW as the real villain in the ECW story. And that's just not true.
So everyone knows it, but you'll have a lot more detail on it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and there's going to be a recounting of the Bryan Pillman story that's probably going to be in more detail than I've seen it. And we got some things about some comings and goings involving the talent that really haven't been discussed to the extent that I'm going to discuss them. And it's kind of an inverse relationship between the influence that company had on a lot of the major players in the wrestling business and the business that they did, or, the lack thereof.
Yeah.
Because their numbers really never reflected the amount of influence that they had on the two major companies.
You know why that is? Oh, Scott, hold on a second, because we actually have to go to a commercial break. Yeah. I actually want to discuss this further. Real quick, Team Canada won when they nailed Andy Douglas with a megaphone. So that match is, in fact, over now, finally. It actually looks like it's a pretty good match. Right now, coming up next is going to be Conan and Ron Killings against Monty Brown and a guy who will, Billy Gunn's new name, I believe, will be unveiled. And we'll find out what it is. It might
Bill
be...
E. Gunn.
What?
Bill E. Gunn.
Might be... Well, we'll see what it might be. But anyway, that's coming up next. And we'll be talking with Scott about the death of ECW. You listen to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network.
Every night the dreams return.
Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor. Alvarez, a Figure 4 Weekly. Bryan, got the name for Billy Gunn.
Uh-oh.
Kip James.
Kip James?
Kip James, because Kip is his first name. And Bob Armstrong always said he was just like a son to him.
Is he now Road Dogg's brother?
Yeah, it's like the sarcasm. Yeah, he's in fact Road Dogg. Jeff Jarrett's out. Anyway, I guess Jeff Jarrett's all panicking if anyone's seen Rhino. So I think that our prediction from earlier in the show is going to hold true for sure now. But yeah, so he's Road Dogg's brother. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kip James.
Kip James. Yes.
That's a terrible idea because the movie Napoleon Dynamite was a big hit with kids, and anytime anyone hears the name Kip, they're going to think of the geek in that movie.
Yeah, it's his real name.
Yeah.
I like Billy James, but...
I like Bill E. Gunn.
Yeah, they couldn't get away with that one, though. The lawyers wouldn't let him. We're going to go back to Scott talking about ECW, and we were talking about, like, they had so much influence, even though their numbers themselves weren't that big. But you know what it is? It's because they spoke loudly.
They did that, and the fan base that they had was just fanatical.
You know, it's the same thing with to a smaller extent with Ring of Honor now, in the sense of, if you look at, I wouldn't say their influence, because Ring of Honor has not changed the business at all.
Right.
But certainly they got Samoa Joe to this level, and they got both companies wanting Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, and they would have them both wanting Low-Ki, except they think he's crazy, so they don't. And they, Punk, obviously, both companies wanted. So in a sense, but it's the same situation, though. Their numbers are not even what ECW numbers were by even close, because they don't have television.
No, that's true. The other thing that separates the ECW from the WCW, and I'm sure Bryan noticed this when he was looking at which book to do, was that ECW's problems had a lot less to do with their own ineptness than WCW's did. That's
understatement. Sure.
And it's because it's a lot easier to make fun of WCW than it is to make fun of ECW.
Well, the thing is all of WCW's problems were because of its own ineptness, because they were put in the position to where they should have been the greatest wrestling company of all. So
I think ECW is like the flip side of that equation. Most of the time that they were in existence, that company existed despite the fact that its numbers reflected that it shouldn't be in business at all.
Yeah, the thing with ECW is that ECW was in a position, like WCW was put in a position where it was like the greatest position any wrestling promoters ever could have been in, especially when, after about 94 or 5, whenever it was, when they started giving Eric the right to sign WCW guys, because, when they started that company in 88, 89, you didn't have to be a genius. Jim Herd the idea is what Eric did. Jim Herd wanted to do a live television show, although not on Monday night. He wanted it on Saturday night, but he wanted to do a live television show. He wanted to do more main events on the TV show, and he wanted to sign all the WWE guys, like Hogan and Piper and Savage and all of them. And basically, he got told no to everything. Eric, I told you yes to all those things.
And even Bill Watts wanted to, he wanted to run all the clashes directly opposite of every pay-per-view that Vince did.
Yeah, well, that was the wrong time because the cable industry had already decided that wasn't going to happen anymore. I mean, but that was originally what Vince did. If Bill Watts was given, Bill Watts, the thing with Bill Watts when he came in to run WCW was he was brought in to cut costs.
Right.
That was the thing. It's like, we want you to cut costs, and because, Bill Watts, so when Eric came in, it was like, not so much you have an open checkbook, but he kind of did. He had
a different mission. Eric's mission was to compete. Watts' mission was to, as you say, cut the costs.
Cut the costs. If Bill Watts was brought in and they said, Bill, we want you to go out there and we want you to beat Vince McMahon, and every time a guy's contract is up, Bill, we want you to sign him. He would have played the game completely different. And I'm not saying he would have beaten Vince McMahon, or I'm saying he wouldn't, but it's a completely different game under those rules.
Right. He was hamstrung by that corporation to a much larger degree than Bischoff was.
Bischoff wasn't. Bischoff was the exact opposite. Once they signed Hogan, it just became, all of a sudden, and then the Nitro thing, and then, face it. He offered some people some incredible money. The money that those guys were making, the top 5-6 guys in WCW, they made more than anyone in professional wrestling made this year.
Right.
And it's a bigger, and WWE this year is a much bigger business than WCW was even in its best years. So, that tells you, he had an open, he had a very open checkbook. Herd didn't, obviously. Herd didn't, Bill Watts didn't. Paul Heyman was put in a position, from day one. When he was doing that fight, Paul obviously thought he had a chance to make it. And I guess if he had some breaks, maybe he did have a chance. But the whole period of ECW, I never thought they were going to survive. I thought that they were fighting people too big for them, and they were never going to have the revenue streams to take in the money to keep their talent. Largely what happened was almost like preordained. It wasn't, they were going to lose their talent because their talent could make more money elsewhere. And, that was that, and then the fan base would shrink when they lost their talent. So, I don't know, that's kind of like my thoughts on ECW.
No, I agree, and, of course, I would be remiss after all that Watts talk not to point out that Watts' Buck will be out, supposed to be out October 28th.
Okay, well, everyone should look forward to that book, and the Terry Funk book, and the tag team book by Greg Oliver and Steve Johnson. I want to recommend that one. I don't think I've ever mentioned on the show.
Yeah, that's actually a really well-done book.
Really well done. I give those guys... I have some qualms about their top 20, which, rankings, but, that's all opinion anyway. But as far as the book, I would say, they did an excellent job. They talked to so many people, got so many stories. I liked their original book, which was the Canadian book, the book on all the Canadian wrestlers. I liked that book a lot. This book, I like better than that one. Anything else, Scott?
Nope, that does it for me. Thanks for letting me get my plugs in. You guys have a good night.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, should we go to the calls or should we go to a break? I will go to, I think there's a break. We're going to go to Jay in Belleville, Ontario. Jay, what's going on? Jay.
Jay?
You there?
Yes.
Okay, what's going on?
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing really good.
Yeah, I just wanted to phone out to talk about Shinya Hashimoto.
Oh, yeah, that was very, very sad.
Oh, extremely sad. And I think for a lot of people who aren't familiar with Japanese wrestling, it's really hard to explain just how big of a draw he was.
Really,
we're talking like Hogan-level numbers for big shows,
Yeah, I wouldn't call him, there's different kinds of draws. I wouldn't put
big match draw.
I wouldn't put him on a Hogan level by any means, but what he had was, he was with a company that was very well run in that period and had many excellent wrestlers, and he was a very believable world champion based on what they had, and when, he had, big matches and they had big cards, they drew real well. He headlined more shows that did 40,000 people than Hulk Hogan or anyone that ever lived in his business, and that you know, in a business where the prime objective is to draw money, and did you draw money? I mean, that's a qualification that's a pretty darn big deal.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, is that if you look at the big stories in Japanese wrestling over the last few years, one of the big stories is the total decline of New Japan. And it's my opinion, at least, that the decline of New Japan started after they buried Hashimoto, after the feud with Ogawa. They went in that Inoki.
Well, it was a huge mistake. The last match, the one that Hashimoto lost when he had to retire,
and things declined from there. And I think that
they were going to decline anyway because, again, it's like WCW. That was a company that had lost its mind, and companies that lose their mind are going to decline. But
yeah,
I mean, you know that the Hashimoto was supposed to win that match.
Yeah, I know.
And Inoki showed up the day and changed it, and that was basically, I know where Inoki was coming from in the sense of Inoki thought that they had gotten Ogawa over so big that it would be stupid now to beat Ogawa, and their idea was that they were going to do the biggest match ever with Ogawa and Hickson Gracie, and of course, never even came close to happening.
Never happened.
And that was the goal, and he didn't want to beat Ogawa before that match came, so that was the mentality. But what happened was, Ogawa did become a real big deal, but the problem was that Ogawa then left New Japan, and Hashimoto was kind of destroyed, and then he left New Japan. And, between that and, later Muto left New Japan as well, and then they sacrificed so many other guys for the shoot fighters, and just really went downhill.
Bad, man.
It wasn't such a great idea to have Hashimoto win that match. Why'd they book him in the first place?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, what I'm saying is that it was kind of up in the air as to what direction that the company was going in.
Well,
until that point, and then it seemed like after that point, New Japan just pretty much went more and more with the influence of MMA and trying to.
It was Inoki that lost his mind because I know people that were very high up in the company, and they would tell me that basically what would happen is the bookers would come in there and they would go in their direction, and then Inoki would show up and just change everything, and they would just. He'd show up on the big shows or show up, at another point and just change everything because Inoki believed that the future of Japanese, and in a sense, maybe he was right, except he killed New Japan in the present. The future was MMA and pro wrestling was a sinking business. He did that, in fact, and by doing that kind of preordained what happened because he was so powerful in professional wrestling. It'd be like if Vince said, you know what, professional wrestling is dead, and, something else is going to be bigger, like sports entertainment, like strip shows, and then he turned his professional wrestling into strip shows, and then all of a sudden, it kind of preordained what happened, and that's what happened with Inoki. He thought that MMA was the wave of the future, and he didn't want to be caught behind, so he made those changes, and those changes, fed the decline of pro wrestling and ruined the New Japan company. But he was right in the sense that MMA just did become much bigger.
Yeah, but there's a difference.
Hold on just a second, okay? We're going to be back right after this. You'll listen to Wrestling Observer Live on Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and AJ Styles and Sean Waltman are about to go in the ring. So anyway, that's what's going on with the TNA pay-per-view. We're going to go back to Jay in Ontario. Jay, what's going on?
Well, just want to say a little bit more about Hashimoto and also ask a couple questions about the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yeah, just on a personal note, it's I have to credit Hashimoto as being one of the people who got me into Japanese wrestling. I remember quite a few years ago seeing Hashimoto and Takada and just being
the Tokyo Dome.
Being amazed.
That was one of the most important matches of all time because Eric Bischoff was at that match.
Mm-hmm.
And that changed American wrestling forever.
Yeah, the NWO.
That was where the NWO came from, was that match. That's right.
And there's certainly a lot of influence that Hashimoto had on the business, as a great performer and as one of the best champions, people in a championship role.
Yeah, the year, he had two runs. One was a year and one was over a year. And I would say in the mid-'90s, he would have been the best world champion. I don't know. There were a lot of good ones, but he might have been the best. He might have been the best. He played the champion role excellently. I mean, I'll just say that there were a lot of guys. Bret Hart played the role good. But WWE was kind of not nearly as strong as New Japan in those days. So, in that sense,
And they never gave Brett the runs as long as.
No, but he also, it was just a much hotter business. I mean, Brett was never going to draw 40,000 people consistently to these big shows.
No.
I mean, I was in Japan in like '96, which was in the middle of his hottest run, actually. And the company was just on fire. I mean, it was similar to WWE during the Austin Rock era, as far as, it was just, you almost have to be there to understand it, but it was, you see companies on fire, like World Class was when the Von Erickson Freebirds were there, and, I mean, a lot of parts of the country had that, and that's when, New Japan had that many times, and that was one of them, in the mid-'90s.
Yeah, just a couple of questions about the Hall of Fame. I understand that the criteria are changing. For the
criteria's always been the same. If the guy belongs in, it should be in. I mean,
I mean like with mixed martial arts.
Mixed martial arts is going to have a separate Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like Sakuraba, is he going to remain in the?
Yeah, because he was voted in.
He was voted in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't take someone out when they're in. I mean, the reason I would say is because it's a weird thing, okay? Because you have to understand Japan, which a lot of people don't. That in Japan you get the magazines, you watch the TV shows, and it's all the same umbrella.
Yeah, like they market it as pro wrestling.
Yeah. But in the United States, it's not. So you go like, how come Hoist Gracie's not on the ballot, but Sakuraba's on the ballot? There's actually a reason, and it makes total sense. But I'm just tired of like trying to explain to people who just don't want to listen to the reason. So
yeah, no, I understand that. I actually would have voted.
So there's going to be a Mixed Martial Arts Hall of Fame. So Hoist Gracie, if he gets the votes, can go in, and Ken Shamrock, if he gets the votes, can go in, and that's fine. And it shouldn't reflect on the fact that Ken Shamrock was not a Hall of Fame worked professional wrestler, because he was not. But was he a Hall of Fame guy? Influence-wise, I got to say yes for sure. So there you go.
Yeah, like another way that I would have done it would be to have how you have the separate countries right now, like Japan and Mexico and.
Right. The voting by block, yeah.
But put a separate voting block for mixed martial arts.
For MMA, yeah.
And then have.
The reason I would say is that as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And it is it's even going to happen in Japan. MMA and professional wrestling will be regarded even as separate entities. You know what I'm saying? They spawn from the same thing, but then they went in different directions, and they really are. And truthfully, they are separate entities. It's just that they were regarded as the same thing in the 90s. So,
well, you had guys like Takada in there too. Blurring the line.
Well, I mean, Takada's already in the Worked Hall of Fame, and you can make. Takada obviously not as a fighter, but as far as a influential person, and as far as you can make the case for him for the Shoot Hall of Fame, although he will probably never get any votes from anyone in the United States, because they will never understand just how, let's face it, if there was no Takada, there would be no Pride and Shoot fighting. I mean, K1 would exist and be big, but Pride would not even exist. And
it was the
level that it is if there was no Takada. Even though, as a fighter, Takada was, Takada never won a match. But influence-wise, I mean, his influence was more than all but, it was more than Randy Couture's ever would be.
Mm-hmm. And the last thing about the Hall of Fame, I look at the list of people who get voted on every year, and there's one person I have to wonder why they're not in. And
there's a lot of people that I have to, and I think Bryan probably has a few too.
Aja Kong. How is Aja Kong not in the Hall of Fame?
I can tell you why. Because she never gets votes from Japan, and those are the people who see her. One of the things you got to realize is that, Aja Kong's an awesome worker, but in Japan during her, early 90s Japanese women wrestling was real big, and she was the top heel. But women's wrestling became so low. I mean, it was so much lower than ECW, even on the radar. I mean, much lower. That I think that the fact that she was having good matches from a Hall of Fame standpoint in a lot of people's eyes in Japan would be equivalent to the fact that somebody like AJ Styles is having great matches, let's say, or CM Punk or someone. It's like they're having great matches, but are they going to get in the Hall of Fame because of these matches? Most likely no.
Yeah, well, I mean, the business really went up in the 90s when the men started coming to...
Oh, yeah. I think that she probably should belong, but in Japan, and she was really over. I mean, I saw her in TV commercials when I went over there and things like that, and people knew who she was. I mean, she had legitimate fame, but the reality of why she's not in is because in Japan she's not considered as big a deal as a lot of people, that they vote for.
Yeah.
So that's the answer as to why. As far as does she deserve to be in? Yeah, I think she deserves to be in. That's my thoughts. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and have a great show tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much. We will be back with... Go to, is it Dennis in Montgomery, Alabama? Hello?
Hi. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing very well. What's going on?
I need to ask you something. There was a wrestler that used to wrestle for Southeastern a long time ago. Do you remember a wrestler, Dave, named Ron Slinker?
Ron Slinker, who I think he did some point karate early. I do remember him on Florida Championship Wrestling, yeah. And he did a karate gimmick, right?
Yeah, he did. He was there when Hogan was there in Alabama, and Burhead Jones and the Fullers was there, and he had this big feud with Herb Calvert and Ox Baker.
Okay.
What's he doing now?
I have no idea what
really?
He's doing. I haven't heard his name in years and years. But I remember seeing him.
I tell you what, he was one of my favorites when I was 12 years old, growing up in Montgomery here. He was one of my favorites growing up and all that. And also, too, Dave, I want to ask you something else, too. What about Burhead Jones?
Burhead Jones is living in, I think, Charleston, South Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, I believe in that area, yeah. He's been retired for years and years. He's been to some of they've had some, like, wrestling reunions in that part of the country, and he goes to them. I saw Burhead Jones a couple of times. I think he worked... Sometimes they brought him into Atlanta to do, like, job duty, as I remember. Like, and this would be, late 70s, early 80s when I remember seeing him.
Really? Yeah, how about that? And also, too, what around, he was a good wrestling announcer. I think he's dead now. What was that guy that was a wrestling announcer and mixed that with Bill Watts? What was his name?
You mean, Boyd Pierce?
Boyd Pierce was a good announcer, I thought. I know he was no Gordon Soley, but...
Reeser Bowden?
Yeah, he was good, yeah.
Reeser Bowden, I know Reeser Bowden died. Boyd, God, you know what? I should know about Boyd, and it's not ringing a bell, and someone's going to kill me over it because I really like Boyd Pierce a lot.
Well, Boyd...
As a guy who Boyd Pierce loved professional wrestling, and nicest guy. I mean, just like the nicest guy you would ever meet.
Yeah, and also, too, Dave, I want to ask you something else about Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
I know after he gets out of wrestling, I want to ask you something seriously, not a facetious question, but do you see Ric Flair going into politics? I know he's a big Republican.
He's been asked many times. I'm almost sure that he won't because...
He's Ric Flair.
What?
It's Ric Flair.
He can't go into politics because he doesn't want people digging into... I mean, Ric Flair's... Ric Flair's crazy. I mean, in a way, and there's just a lot of Ric Flair's got a lot of stories of his past that I don't think that he wants. People like you go run for governor, and your enemies try to find stuff, and it's not like it's bad stuff where he's
killing
screwed people or he's done things that are horrible to people, but they're just things that would be very embarrassing for a governor. In his background.
I would kind of hate to see that. I think if Jesse Ventura could get elected governor of Minnesota, why not Ric Flair in North Carolina? I think he's got name, age, ID, and
he's like I said, he's been asked, but he won't run. He talked to Jesse about it, and Jesse told him what it was all about. And I mean, when I talked to Flair about the governor thing, I mean, it's been pretty evident. I mean, I suppose he could change his mind in 3 years, but it was always like he doesn't want that background check stuff, being so public. It just wouldn't be good in the election. Although, Lawler had a wife that was posing in on his website in nothing when he was running for governor. So she was she was going to be like the first lady of Memphis, and he still finished in third, and Lawler's still talking about running again. So he's not over there anymore.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Okay, you're very welcome. We're back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Hey, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan, Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. AJ Styles looks like he's got a busted nose. This match with Sean Waltman is going on. Looks like it's a pretty good match. There's probably nobody's surprised. We're going to go to Norm in Sinking Springs, Pennsylvania. Norm, what's going on?
Good evening, Dave. Good evening, Bryan. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Hey, it's Norm Connors from Sinking Spring.
Hey, Norm. How you doing?
I'm well. I wanted to ask you about TNA. I haven't been able to follow the business since I moved out here from Pittsburgh as closely as I'd like. I'm curious about the future, with the time slot coming up, and also what have the buy rates been lately? At least the ones that have come in with final numbers. How are they doing, and what does the future hold?
They were up around 35,000 when they first started doing the monthly pay-per-views. I think they sunk down to about 20-ish. And then since they lost TV, it's probably down a little bit from there. And, they're not going to be doing, if they do 15 to 20, then they're doing good, all summer long. As far as the future, the thing, the gist of the future is that when they get, and it's not a done deal, or maybe unless it's been announced today, if they get the Spike time slot, and they're going to probably pick up some WWE talent, so their payroll is going to be larger, they're going to have to start showing an increase in numbers, or in some ways, like the ratings, they're going to have to show something in the ratings and something in the buy rate to give Panda the, impetus to think that, this thing is going to eventually turn around and be a money-making business. If they don't show movement, after the TV, I'm sure they're safe until the TV and they're safe for the first couple of months, probably through the end of the year, but if they don't show movement, I wonder, how much longer they would be safe.
They have a lot of good boys, so hopefully they can certainly try to...
I hope they make it, and, their pay-per-views, like this one, sure looking like it's awfully good to me watching it from here, and they've had a lot of good ones, and, a lot of, Daniels, and you book these guys, Daniels and AJ, these guys are great.
Yeah, they sure are. We have Styles and Matt Hardy.
Yeah, we are, Norm, we're totally out of time. Thanks very much for calling. Thanks, everybody. We will be back with a tape show with Conan next week, and then live in 2 weeks with the Hall of Fame shows. So, Dave Meltzer just signing off, and Bryan, thanks very much. You listen to Wrestling Observer Live on Sports Byline Broadcasting Network.